recorded an overall poor absorption rate of 69% during the period under review, with recurrent and development expenditure at 81% and 46%, respectively. There is a breakdown of departmental absorption rate for the fiscal planning, lands, housing, and urban development. For the recurrent expenditure, they had a budget of 85 million. Actual receipt was 47 million, that was 56%. For the development, it was 1,300,000. The actual receipt was 758 million, which represented 76%. Agriculture, on recurrent, they had 60 million. Actual receipt was 21 million, representing 35%. On development, they had 310 million. Actual receipt was 164 million, representing 53%. City of Kisumu, 184 million. Actual receipt was for recurrent, 115 million, representing 63%. For development, they had 912 million. Actual was 157 million, representing 17%. County Assembly of Kisumu, we had 1,019,672. Actual receipt was 937,511,582, representing 94%. On development, County Assembly had 100 million. Actual receipt was 72 million, representing 72%. County Public Service Board, against a budget of 37 million on recurrent, they only received 24 million, representing 66%, with no development expenditure. Education, technical training, innovation, and social services, against a budget of 217 million for recurrent, they only received 47 million, representing 21%. For development, they had 255 as the budgeted, 255 million, and they only received 117 million, that's representing 46%. Infrastructure, energy, and public works, for recurrent, 82 million, they only received 38 million, that is 46%. For development, it was 990 million, and they received 255 million, representing 27%. Finance, economic planning, and ICT, against a budget of 1.1 billion, they received 809 million, 66%. On development, they had 1.023 billion, and they received 651 million, representing 73%. Trade tourism, on recurrent, 38 million, they received 8 million, 22%. On development, 22, on their budget, 22 million, they received 6 million, representing 28%. Medical services, public health, and sanitation, against a budget of 805 for recurrent, they received 289 million, representing 36%. On development, 123 million, they received 51 million, that is 42%. For sports culture, against a budget of 69 for recurrent, they received 51, that is 51 million, that is 74%. For development, they budgeted for 48,500,000, and they received 5,966,600, 12%. Water environment, for recurrent, the absorption rate was 42%, development 27%. Public service, county administration, and they had an absorption rate of 93% for recurrent and 22% for development. On committee observation, that there is a general low absorption rate of the development budget component at 46%, compared to recurrent component at 81%, implying disproportionate focus on recurrent spending. Observation number 2, that there is an extreme low development performance under critical departments such as City of Kisumu at 17%, Sport at 12%, infrastructure at 27%, and water environment at 27%. Committee recommendation that the county treasury, to ensure that procurement of development projects is initiated and completed within the first half of the financial year to avoid delays in project implementation and improve overall budgetary absorption rates. That the Treasury should lift the control AIs on the development budget to improve utilization of the development budget component. That implementation committee and sectoral committees to undertake a comprehensive validation, review, and evaluation of all development projects captured in the document and cause a report with recommendation to this Honorable House. Stock of the pending bills, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the Honorable members, as at 30th June 2025. Status of county pending bills as at 30th June 2025 and stock of pending bills accrued during the same financial year. For the recurrent, we had 1.3 billion pending bills. Amount settled was 843 million. Then for the development, we had 1.5 billion. Amount settled was 667 million. Observations on this: the county accumulated pending bills exceeding 10% of the total revenue, posing a significant fiscal risk. The county incurred in significant pending bills, that is 1.5 billion, during the financial year under review, violation of its own pending bills repayment plan, which committed to offset outstanding pending bills within the financial year. And lastly, the county treasury acquired a bank overdraft facility, short-term borrowing during the financial year 2024-2025 to a tune of 2.62 billion. Committee recommendations: that the county treasury prepares and submits to the county assembly a comprehensive, verified, and updated pending bills repayment plan prior to the submission of the financial year 2026-2027 budget estimates, clearly outlining the following: the total verified stock of pending bills, a time-bound repayment schedules, and the funding sources to be utilized in settling the obligations. That the CECM for Finance, Economic Planning, and ICT prioritize and ring-fence adequate resources in the annual budgets, strictly aligned to the approved pending bills clearance plan to ensure systematic reduction of the outstanding stock and restoration of fiscal discipline and supplier confidence. That the county treasury submits to the county assembly within 1 week of adoption of this report a detailed report on all short-term borrowing undertaken during financial year 2024-2025, including the financial institutions involved, the amount borrowed from each institution, the terms and conditions of the facilities, and a clear account of how the borrowed funds were utilized. The use of manual payroll: the county executive used manual payroll for payment of staff wages and benefits totaling to 499.6 million in disregard of the law. Committee recommendation: the CCM for public service, county administration, and participatory development to ensure that all county staffs are onboarded into the centralized staff database and ensure that all staff wages are strictly processed through the approved integrated payroll and personnel database system in compliance with the law. That PICPAC committee to undertake a comprehensive audit and verification of all payments for staff wages amounting to 499.6 million processed through manual payroll to confirm their legitimacy and submit a detailed report to this House within a month of approval of this report. On a resource allocation framework for the succeeding financial year 2025-2027, the county projects a total resource envelope of 17.3 billion, comprising of an equitable share of 9.4 billion, grants 2.3 billion, and on-source revenue 3.8 billion. Committee observation: the county OSR projections of 3.8 billion for the next financial year appears overestimated, taking into account historical performance trends. The document only provides a projection of the resource envelope but does not outline expenditure breakdown within indicative sector budgets and the rationale for distribution of the budgetary resources amongst the respective departments. The recommendations on this: the county treasury to review its own source projections and make a realistic target based on historical performance trends and the prevailing economic conditions to enhance budget credibility and avoid recurrent fiscal imbalances in the county budget. That the county treasury to review the CPROP for the year 2024-2025 and incorporates a detailed breakdown clearly disaggregating sector allocations with clear justifications for the rationale of resource distribution across all departments. Mr. Speaker, sir, and the honorable members, that pursuant to Article 185(4) of the Constitution and in the fulfillment of the provisions of Section 104(1) of the County Government Act 2012, I propose to this House to approve the Kisumu County Budget Review and Outlook paper for the year 2024-2025. I therefore move the motion and I call upon Honorable Seth Okum to second.
Members, now that the County Budget and Appeal Committee report on the constitution of the Kisumu County Budget Review and Outlook paper financial year 2024-2025 have been moved, seconded. As powers standing orders, I want to propose a question, and I propose that the motion adoption of the report of the County Budget and Appeal Committee on the proposed Kisumu County Budget Review and Outlook paper 2024-2025 is open for debate. Yes, Honorable Pamela Oyo, Migosi Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support the Budget Review Outlook paper. I've listened to what the Honorable Member, the Deputy Chair of Budget has read, and I've seen a few areas I want addressed. I've realized I'm a committee member, Mr. Speaker. There is low absorption of development money. I think we need to improve on our absorption rate and also improve on our own source revenue collection. I want to say on grants, a lot of money has not been released to the county. I think those monies should be followed and we should get development on time. I want to say I support, and it was a detailed report, and I want to ask the CCM Finance to look at the absorption rate in all departments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Benny Peter.
Mr. Speaker, the report is a flowing one, and the report is flowing, Mr. Speaker, and the recommendation of the committee is also overwhelming. They have given us the true picture of the financial position of Kisumu County. Mr. Speaker, if the Assembly will be serious on the report as presented today, I think our oversight role would be failed. Because, Mr. Speaker, when we look at this report, we are being told that the absorption rate is very poor, both on recurrent expenditure and development. And there's always the outcry that projects are never done. Now we need to ask ourselves, what is happening with the executive? If this is the picture that we get when the CPROP report is presented before this assembly. The picture we get here is that there is something wrong with the system which we have closed our eyes to, or we have just taken for granted. And Mr. Speaker, this comes on the matter of procurement. The last financial year we are now looking at, when did the procurement process start? The procurement process started last year in February. And when the procurement process starts in February, yet when we are passing the budget in this house, the budget committee tells us that matters of procurement we should start looking into by August. And the first half of financial year ends without us opening our mouth on matters of procurement. When 4 months are remaining to the end of the financial year, that is when we dream that projects are there, where is the the matters of procurement is sleeping. A very big weakness on the side of the executive. Mr. Speaker, when we look at this report, we see the percentage performance is very alarming. If we look at page 13, let's look at education. The recurrent expenditure, 217 million, 842, 20 shillings. Only 46,000 was spent, totaling to 21%. How serious is the executive is on this? And when we go to development, it was 255 million, only 117 million was spent, 46 million. We must pull up our socks on this matter of oversight. When exactly should we demand that implementation starts? Let the report not just be brought here for the sake of it, like this kind of report. It is read, at the end of it we shall adapt it, and we don't follow. Mr. Speaker, look at the city of Kisumu with the development of 912 million. Only 156 million was spent, a total of 17%. This shows that the wards within the city are really suffering. Mr. Speaker, Agriculture Department is also suffering the same thing. The total percentage development is 53. 310 million. What was spent is only 164. So, honorable members, we need to pull up our socks on this matter. On matters of grants, we must investigate if we are serious in this house. If we were to get 2.1 billion on grants, and we received and we received 1.1 billion. 965 million was not received. What problems are there? Why we cannot receive substantial amount on grant? The Assembly must take the executive to task so that we establish this. Another matter, Mr. Speaker, is on pending bills. We are getting here that on matters of pending bill, the outstanding amount by the end of the financial year was about 1.5 on development and the country treasury acquired a bank overdraft facility of 2.6 billion. Mr. Speaker, I remember when we were passing, giving the executive power to borrow, they were going to borrow money for their salaries. And these monies were to be settled when the exchequer gave them the money by the end of every month. If by the end of the financial year, the overdraft was 2.6 billion, one will now ask, what was the closing balance by the end of the financial year? And this closing balance by the end of the financial year, has it been received by the executive? This is also a matter that needs to be investigated so that we just don't take things for granted. Mr. Speaker, the overall picture of this report is that the Budget Committee is telling us things are not good with the executive. And if we don't become keen on the way money is being spent by the executive, the pending bill may be alarming, and the executive, that is Kisumu County government, may find it difficult to service some of its work or the bills as they fall due. And Mr. Speaker, this report should be further interrogated so that we find out exactly what is happening, because it gives us a black picture of the financial position of the Kisumu County government. I so submit, Mr. Speaker, and I will say that this is a report to come up and say I support, or to say I reject. Mr. Speaker, this is a report that needs further interrogation, further investigation, so that the executive is taken to task And the true financial position of Kisumu County is shown to the people of Kisumu County. I wish members will also see that picture of the financial position of this report, and that is where Kisumu County is. I so submit.
Honorable Benny, this is a motion which you need to either support or oppose.
Mr. Speaker, I was also just forgetting something on SES. When you look at this report on SES, we are being told here on page 11, the last financial year, SES was estimated at 27 million. And what they collected was 14.
What is it, Deputy Leader of Majority?
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for honorable member having submitted or having debated and coming back again to contribute, having exhausted his allocated minutes? Mr. Speaker, I remember you only guided or asked the Speaker to say whether he supported or opposed. And what he's doing is not exactly what you asked him to do.
I was also wondering loudly what's happening with the member. That's a ranking member who knows what debate is about. What we are discussing is a motion, so you either support it or oppose it. You can support with amendments, and there's a procedure of doing amendments. You can fully oppose it. And once you've exhausted your time, you can't steal your way back into the debate. So I was just studying him, but I was going to rule him out of order. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Leader of Majority. Honorable Seth, I saw you.
The debate was sweet. That is why I came back.
Yes, Honorable Kubuto.
Many thanks, Honorable Speaker. Again, to my fellow colleagues, it's a pleasure to be privileged to comment slightly on the wonderful report presented by the able chair seated next to me of the Budget Committee. Honorable Speaker, a number of illustrations are of course described, a number of dimensions, and for any of us to oppose this, it would only be fair, Honorable Speaker, that you check with the relevant department for further details. Otherwise, the report is accurate. Otherwise, the report is detailed. Otherwise, the report is quite descriptive, and I support the report. Many thanks, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Eunice Alando.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Going by the mood of the House, may I call the mover to reply?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Again, Mr. Speaker, the CPROP always gives us a clear indication of how the county performance is. When we are making a budget, Mr. Speaker, we had a proposed projection of 15 billion shillings, but the actual receipt, Mr. Speaker, was only 12 billion. That means we fell short of 3 billion shillings. And that is actually what usually happens when a budget is prepared. When we are making a budget, it's still a proposal, but we always work with what is actually received. Many a times, members sometimes accuse the executive or the committee of budget on how some projects have not been implemented, or on how some budget proposals have not been implemented. But on the reality, it depends on the actual amount that is being received. And that is what this report is giving. Honorable members have talked about the low absorption rate, both in recurrent and development, but the development one was too low. And actually the committee has given a recommendation, and this recommendation has always been given, that the procurement of the development projects be done within the first half of the financial year. Mr. Speaker, that is what the committee can do. Then, depending on those that are executing the implementations of these projects, sometimes there are some issues that are beyond our control as the committee budget. Then, on the low absorption rate, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Oiko was being specific on the education department. And Mr. Speaker, we all know what affected the absorption rate in the education department. Remember, we had a huge chunk of the bursary fund which was not implemented, and I believe that contributed so much on the absorption rate on the education department. On the grants, Mr. Speaker, some of these grants are conditional and we don't even have control. Sometimes we don't have control over that, and that's why the committee is giving a recommendation directly to the governor, that the governor, through Council of Governors, IBEC and the IGTRC, to liaise and strengthen coordination with the national government to ensure timely disbursement of conditional grants allocation for effective utilization of the funds towards implementation of some of these programs that we have. So sometimes we have very little as a committee to do on this. Then lastly, Mr. Honorable Oiko also talked about the pending bills. And I think that the recommendation that the committee is giving to the executive there is self-explanatory. But I'll take the last one, that the county treasury submits to the county assembly within 1 week of adoption of this report, a detailed report on all short-term borrowing undertaken during the financial year 2024-2025, including the financial institutions involved, the amounts borrowed from each institution, the terms and conditions of the facilities, and a clear account of how the borrowed funds were utilized. And Speaker, I believe upon adoption of this report, we will depend on the implementation committee to help us see if this recommendation is adhered to. Mr. Speaker, for the assembly, as an assembly member, or the assembly members, for us to understand how the county operates, how I wish, Mr. Speaker, that all the members that have been having issues on the implementation of our budget programs were here to see and know how the money that we projected were received and how they were expended. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to reply. Thank you.
Honorable members, now that the motion adoption of the report of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the proposed Kisumu County budget review and outlook paper 2024-2025 have been moved, seconded, debated, reply made, I want to put a question. And I put as many of the opinion that this motion adoption of the report of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the proposed Kisumu County budget review and outlook paper financial year 2024-2025 be adopted, say aye. As many of the contrary opinions say nay, the ayes have it. And the report of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the proposed Kisumu County budget review and outlook paper 2024-2025 have been adopted today, Tuesday, the 21st of April 2026 at 15:33 hours. And I want to direct that the recommendations of the said report be communicated to the relevant departments for action, and that the House Committee on Implementation to follow up on the same. Next order.
Mr. Speaker and honorable members, there is no any other business in the order paper.
Honorable members, you can be upstanding. Honorable members, there being no any other business in the order paper, the House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, the 22nd of April 2026 at 9 a.m.